What's good, family? Shout out to my doggy Mike Tyson for sending in them coins and boosting up your man and YB's drop seekers. So we got some breaking news right now. One of my sources, one of my chatty patty dons within Dillian Whyte's camp, has informed me, allegedly, Dillian Whyte has split with Eddie down bad Hearn. I'm hearing it's going from bad to worse for Eddie Hearn. Now, I've got some more news coming soon regarding this, some more official news which kind of ties up the lines. Now, for today's video, one piece of evidence, for example, Sporting Silicons, he removed a video with Ben Shalom discussing some leaked details regarding Dillian Whyte and Sky and the pay-per-view platform, etc, etc. Now, I actually missed the interview, but one of my dons told me in there, like I said, there was leaked information regarding Dillian and the Sky pay-per-view. Now, we know you're not going to have two promoters. It's either Ben Shalom, Sky pay-per-view, or Eddie down bad Hearn, who's got some crusty DAZN, who we know aren't putting the coins up. And the bottom line is, people, Eddie Hearn didn't step up. He didn't come through. He did a whole bunch of woofing. I leaked a video, of Eddie Hearn woofing. We're gonna do this for Dillian. We're gonna do what's right for Dillian. Next thing you know, Eddie Hearn gets slapped in the purse bid. Now, Eddie Hearn man fans, make excuses. I'm not there to hear excuses, because like I said, bottom line is, no one didn't ask Eddie to run his mouth. Eddie could have come out and said, you know what, people, I'm not sure what we can do for Dillian. He didn't say that. He was threatening purse bids. If we don't get what's right for Dillian, we're going to purse bids. He was doing way too much. And then to lose, all these things add up. And with that in mind, this is also another piece of information which I've heard. It's another reason which kind of pushed Dillian into Ben Shalom's arms. Ben Shalom, Sky pay-per-view's arms. Because Dillian's feeling like, well, Eddie, you've been paying... How many people have you paid now? A whole bunch of money for bum fights. Eddie Hearn's been paying people... Eddie Hearn paid Triple G Spot like 40 million for 2 bum fights. Ain't no one ever heard of. That brought no revenue in. Now, I don't care what no one says. Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury would be the single biggest event on DAZN. Next to probably Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. That fight was massive, but Eddie Hearn didn't put no coins up. It's honestly, it's wild. But again, I do feel sorry for Eddie Hearn, because from what I understand, it's not really his fault. It was DAZN who have pulled back the purse strings. Eddie Hearn blew through so much money, wasting it on average fights, like AJ and Ruiz, and don't forget they were massive fights, but they weren't big for anything. Does that make sense? They were big for nothing fights. Eddie Hearn paid a whole bunch of money, but they weren't bringing no value in for DAZN. Most people buy, for example, if anything, people not only weren't buying many, but they'd be leaving the next month anyway. That makes sense. If Alvarez fights Billy Joe, if Alvarez fights Billy Joe, they might buy that one for 20 quid, and then 2 dudes, they're out there, they're gone. It gets deleted the next day, which essentially ends up being a pay-per-view model that's cheap. So there's no real benefit to DAZN. The subscription model only works if people are staying with the service. Yeah? And unfortunately, they haven't got the depth of the stars. And that's why you're now hearing Eddie Hearn wheeling out the pay-per-view platform. Which in itself was confusing from Dillian Whyte's point of view, because don't forget, DAZN have not only just launched in the UK, they're also looking to launch their pay-per-view platform. What Dillian Whyte's thinking, I'm hearing that, wait there a minute, we've heard about Eddie Hearn wanting to launch DAZN and wanting to launch pay-per-view. What better event in the UK to launch both platforms, the pay-per-view and the UK DAZN, than Whyte versus Fury? There literally isn't a better event to launch. And at the moment, as far as boxing markets go, the UK is without a doubt the second biggest boxing market in the world. So, are you telling me Eddie Hearn was paying $40 million for fights like Alvarez versus Yildirim? Random bums. I don't care what no one says. Alvarez versus these random fights no way near generates the value that Fury and Whyte would have generated. So Dillian Whyte sitting there thinking, wait there a minute, what's going on here? You had no problem buying all these bum fights, but for me, you ain't show up after all the woofing you was doing. And really, people are people, yeah. People like to be told the truth. They don't like to have smoke blown up their ass. For example, Dillian Whyte would have respected Eddie Hearn a lot more and potentially been able to see how this relationship plays out a lot more if he'd just been honest with him. Listen, Dillian, the truth is, A, B, C, D, we'll do what we can. Eddie Hearn weren't doing that. Eddie Hearn was gassing Dillian up about all the stuff he was going to do. So Dillian Whyte frothing, from what I'm hearing. And on that basis, like I said, it's pushed him into Ben Shalom pay-per-view's arms. However, my don inside Dillian's camp also did say it's not all on Eddie. Yeah? Yes, Eddie hasn't helped. If Ed, for example, obviously, if Eddie had won the bid, Dillian would be a lot more. Oh, Dillian, yeah, but if Eddie Hearn had won the bid, Dillian would be #1 pals with Eddie Hearn. As a fact, it'd make perfect sense for Dillian to tie down with Eddie, but he didn't. But either way, that wasn't the only thing. Dillian Whyte also he manages himself and is somewhat shrewd. To be honest with you, out of all the people in boxing, Dillian Whyte, in terms of creating something out of nothing, Dillian Whyte being able to create value for not doing a lot he's never had a belt, he's never beat anyone big names, has he? In fact, he's lost all of his big fights. Well, I guess really he's only fought AJ, but either way, he lost that. Dillian Whyte's the only man to be a pay-per-view don who's never beat no one and never won no belt. So as far as that goes, he's very shrewd. I've never seen, in the history of boxing, I've never seen someone be able to have so many pay-per-views. And to be honest, they were all bum fights as well. Let's be real now. As in, look around. What have we got? Was Lucas Brown pay-per-view? Oh, God forbid. I hope it weren't. But either way, Lucas Brown and what's the other guy? Chisora and Rivas, and it's unparalleled his career. And on that note, I'm hearing Dillian being the being strategic as Dillian has been without his career, and Shillian loves coins. There's a reason he's begging for more. He loves coin. The only man who arguably loves coin more than Dillian is Anthony Johnston. But they're battling at the moment to see who can be the most greedy and love the coin the most. They're both married to the coin. And on that note, Dillian knows that, wait there a minute, if I tie my boat to Eddie Hearn now, Eddie Hearn's shown he doesn't really have any financial loyalty to me. I've got a video coming soon. Dillian Whyte way back when. Dillian Whyte has slagged off Eddie Hearn back in 2019 when Eddie Hearn was offering people like Luis Ortiz $8-9 million to fight AJ when Big Babe Miller pulled out. Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn took that DAZN budget of $8-9 million for the opponent and offered Dillian 4 or 5. So Dillian already was feeling iffy. This was, from what I'm hearing, the final nail in the coffin for Eddie and Dillian's relationship. Now don't get me wrong, if Eddie Hearn comes with a whole bunch of cash, Dillian ain't going to turn it down. But, like I said, Dillian Whyte's strategic. He's thinking, wait a minute, I give Eddie a chance. He massively flops on the bid. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Dillian can't trust Eddie. That's been shown now, twice now. The AJ fight couldn't trust Eddie. This fight can't trust Eddie. And when you don't have trust, what do you have? So, from Dillian's point of view, he's thinking, wait there a minute, I can't trust Eddie. What can I trust? Guess what? I can trust Sky pay-per-view. Because time in, time out, Dillian Whyte knows I can go to Sky pay-per-view, fight a random bum like Chisora, like Rivas and sell pay-per-views. That's guaranteed. That ain't going nowhere. Got nothing to do with Eddie Hearn. And I think, to be honest, years from now, Eddie Hearn may look back, and realise he weren't the magic man. Yeah? And Frank Warren, way back when, did say, Eddie Hearn looks great because he's got Sky pay-per-view. Anyone with Sky pay-per-view looks good. It's not hard to sell pay-per-view with Sky. Because they've got so much of a massive database of clientele. Yeah? Dillian Whyte's clocked onto that. He's thinking, well, wait a minute, if Eddie Hearn's shown he's not going to put his hand in his pocket and get that DAZN money out for me, why should I be loyal to him? What, be loyal to him so he can try and shaft me or try and come in with a crap bid again? Now, you know what? I'm going to go, it's better the devil I know. Yeah? And at the moment, we also know that Ben Shalom is new and up and coming. So what does a new and up and coming guy want to do? He wants to sweeten the deal. Do you understand? So which means Dillian can use his, he can use his position right now as a relatively big star and say to Ben, okay Ben, I'm going to punk Eddie. What's in it for me? So not only can Dillian get Sky pay-per-view, he can also possibly end up getting, I don't know, a bigger split or who knows what, some sort of sweetener. And I'm hearing that's what he's done. Yeah, Eddie's been punked. And it makes sense, because I've heard some other things. Different people saying different things. Yep, Eddie's got nothing to do with Dillian anymore, and Eddie's got nothing to do with the deal, and this, that, the other. So it's not looking good for Eddie. And the worst thing is, Eddie doesn't even seem to know himself. Eddie's still saying things like, yeah, well, if Dillian wants me there, and Eddie, you weren't involved in the negotiation. It's bad, man. I feel bad for Eddie. Eddie seems to be the only one who don't know he ain't involved. Eddie's like, yeah, I'll be there at the press conference. You ain't getting me nowhere, Eddie, you're not involved. You've been cut out. You've been dropped. I feel bad, though. Eddie going through it right now, 100%. Silver Spoon going through it. He can't catch a break. And it's bad. Eddie put a video out. After he saw my video criticising his creased suit, he put another video out with a fresh suit on, saying, oh, this suit's from, where was it called? This suit's from some expensive place, and it cost me $5,000. I thought, wow, it's bad. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. It's bad. I've always said, when people end up talking about the watch on their wrist, or the clothes on their back, or the shoes on their feet, that's how you know they ain't got much else going on. Because for years, I've never heard Eddie Hearn talk about the shit he's wearing. All of a sudden, oh, this suit's from here, there, and everywhere. I bet it is. Yeah, your suit best be from there. Because if it weren't, you wouldn't have nothing to talk about. What's Eddie got to talk about? What? Taylor vs Serrano? Oops. Wow. All of a sudden, Apples and Pears trying to sell us that as well. Oh, Taylor vs Serrano, the biggest fight ever. Listen, Eddie, ain't no one trying to watch that, man. Let's be real now. Yeah, they ain't trying to watch that. Bob, in my opinion, Bob weren't lying. He weren't. And the thing is, a lot of you SJW cats, most of you SJW cats, you talk a lot, but let's see what the numbers say. Fair enough. If Taylor vs Serrano does 500,000 pay-per-views, I'll be quiet. And I'll put my hands in the air and say, you know what, I was wrong. But the problem is, you be on Twitter, woofing, but when it comes to put your hand in your pocket, you ain't nowhere to be found. And that's the facts. There's a reason. Bob Arum likes making money like everyone else does. If there was money there, it would be there. But listen, good for them. I hope they make lots of money. I hope they sell lots of pay-per-views. Yeah? Anyway, like I said at the start of the video, Dillian Whyte allegedly sacking Eddie Hearn and is moving with Ben Shalom and Boxer. That explains why Sporting Silicons removed his video. Now, Sporting Silicons, he made a whole video talking about, oh, no, it was this, it was that, it was Apples and Pears, it was my, he said, he made up some BS lie about, I recorded a video and I played it and then I deleted it and it disappeared. What do you mean deleted it? Anyone knows, if you delete a video on Windows, it goes straight into the recycle bin. And everyone knows, if you delete something accidentally, you don't empty the recycle. No one I know deletes one item and then empties their recycle bin straight away. Well, who does that? No one does. So, it was nothing to do with that, you got touched. Dillian and or Shalom rang you and said, oops, delete the interview because you've leaked the fact that Dillian Whyte's mugged off Eddie Hearn. And that's the bottom line here, people, no doubt.